Hey Raiders, today we're breaking down every gun in Arc Raiders and ranking them on this tier list. Here is a disclaimer about how I'm doing my ranking. I'm not only looking at raw damage, but also how available the weapon is to craft and upgrade. If a weapon is strong and easy to build early, it's going to land much higher than something that requires late game materials or rare drops. For example, Bobcat and Stitcher are comparable SMGs, but the Stitcher costs almost nothing to craft and upgrade, while the Bobcat is very expensive. So this isn't just a best weapon on paper list, it's a practical tier list built around real world play, resource investment, and how these guns actually fit into your progression. Alright, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and acknowledge the elephant in the room. There is a tier listed above everything else, the V tier for the Venator. The Venator is broken and lands higher than any other weapon in every single metric. Raw damage, movement, it's easy to craft and upgrade, and the durability is also fine. So it's just simply in a category of its own, and hopefully we see some balancing around it soon, so it fits more naturally into this tier list moving forward. Well, there you go, Venator. Next is the Stitcher. Some people are going to disagree here, but the Stitcher is an S tier SMG. It might just be the best S tier weapon in my opinion. TTK wise, if you're hitting headshots, it's super good. It's easy to craft and upgrade, and it's something you can do within your first hour of play is level up this to level 4, and you'll have a huge advantage. All right, the hairpin, I think we all know where this is going. The hairpin is just for memes. Maybe it will be adjusted to be useful in the future, but for now it's just unusable even by PvP gods. The kettle. Kettle is an okay weapon. It doesn't benefit a ton from upgrades, but the cost to do so is pretty cheap, and the extra damage and rapid fire ability is worth it, I guess. It's a decent secondary to something with a heavy ammo type, like an anvil or a pharaoh, or even like a renegade, which is medium. But it's a good secondary to have to pump some extra rounds in to get a down. Solid B. Rattler. Rattler's, I haven't really used the hairpin, but Rattler's my least favorite weapon in the game. I think it's one of the worst guns in the game. It's almost unusable even at level 4, but it's by far the worst weapon in its category, and I'm sorry if you pull this on your free loadouts because you're gonna have a bad time. It's just not a good gun even with its cheap upgrade costs. Pharaoh. Again, people may disagree with my placement here, but I think this is an S tier weapon as well. Some may argue it's an A tier or even a B tier, which it's definitely not. It's at least an A, but on my ranking, I'm putting it as an S because it is so easy to craft to level 4. That level 4 makes the reload time very short. This weapon provides a huge swing in a fight. It can be a devastating opener to go ahead and break shields and then follow up with some rapid fire shot. It can swing fights solo and in a squad. Definitely an S tier given how cheap it is and how good it is early in the game too. Oh, look, algorithm artifacts. Where did those come from? Clearly V tier with the Venator. Look at that. Oh, and hey, while you're busy liking and subscribing, drop a comment about what you agree or disagree with. I'm absolutely ready to tell you what the fuck you got wrong. I mean, engage in calm, rational discussion. Back to the tier list. Moving on to our uncommon or green weapons, the Berletta is a decent pistol, but nothing about it is amazing. I think it's well rounded enough to put as a B tier past the kettle. And given a shakeup in the balancing, this could become a very solid choice for a loadout, but currently there's just too many other viable options that cost less resources to upgrade and repair. That's about it for that. Anvil, just clearly an S tier, right? And I would say without a doubt that it's the best pound for pound weapon in the game. It has the ability to be both an opener and a finisher. The only reason I'm keeping the Stitcher above it, I'm gonna put it right here actually. The only reason I'm keeping the Stitcher above it is because it does get outperformed in close range fights, which are the majority of Arc Raiders fights, and it costs quite a bit more resources to upgrade. Those mechanical components start to get drained easily. But I love the Anvil. It's also really good against clankers, which this tier list is not factoring, but super well-rounded gun. Probably best pound for pound, like I said. All right, next is the Il Toro. The Il Toro is a 2-shot down, and it's really cheap to upgrade. Do I need to say more? This is meta right now. If the Venator wasn't around, I think we would see most people using this in PvP. I think once the Venator's gone, this will be a problem if it's not nerfed with it. We'll probably see this as one of the next round of nerfs. Il Toro is very, very good. Only reason, again, I'm putting Stitcher above it is resources. Stitcher is super easy to craft and can sometimes outperform an Il Toro. Just depends. The Arpeggio. This one's a little subjective, I think, but I really like the Arpeggio, especially at level 4, which is what we're talking about on this tier list. At level 4, the time between shots is very rapid, and it can do devastating damage if you hit your shots with it. It's really bad at low levels, but at level 4, I think it can contend with some of the more meta weapons out there if you choose your fights wisely. I'm going to put this as an A. And now we're looking at rare or blue weapons, starting with the Renegade. The Renegade is a solid weapon, and at level 4, the time between shots is reduced significantly, making this a very viable mid to long range weapon. It does get outperformed TTK-wise by many of the close to mid-range weapons, but its large magazine, decent punch, and range can provide good entries in team fights to swing things in your favor. I wouldn't say this is the best solo gun. It's still viable, but this is really good in squads for that chip damage you need to kind of like help in a squad fight. I'm going to put this as an A tier behind Arpeggio. And moving on to the Osprey. This is another weapon that I think is pretty good. The only reason you use this right now is on open maps like Bluegate and Spaceport. It has very little bullet drop from a distance, but it doesn't pack a huge punch. I think if you come from some other games, you're used to like 1-shot snipers or 2-shot snipers. I don't even know if this 2 shots, it might if you get headshots. I don't even know that it does though. Now, if you have a squad of Osprey users, you got 3 guys and you do a 1, 2, 3 and you all shoot somebody with it, it can be very powerful. Don't get me wrong. But again, we're talking about Spaceport and the top side of Bluegate. Otherwise, like Buried City, Stella Montis, this is unusable. You could argue that it's okay on Damn Battlegrounds, but even there, it's kind of too close quarters of fights for a sniper, I think. I think for now, this is a pretty solid weapon, though, and I think it could get stronger given some shifts in the meta. I'm going to put it in A tier behind the Renegade. All right, Torrente, the last blue gun. I personally don't love this gun myself, but I do recognize that it's very good. It's very strong up close in indoor fights, which are the majority of fights in Arc Raiders. Not only does this kill extremely fast, but it has such a large magazine that you can take on 2 to 3 players in one magazine while other players are struggling and taking cover to reload. I see this gun being a strong choice on maps like Stella Montis or Underground on Bluegate, where you can apply a lot of pressure because of your large magazine size. I'm going to put it right behind the Renegade. In between the Osprey and the Renegade, I think, just because the Osprey is such a like unique case of using it. Finally, moving on to epic weapons. Let me give this disclaimer one more time. Epic weapons are just going to be ranked lower because of nerfs to security lockers, as well as the rarity of the crafting materials and upgrade materials. Not because they are bad guns. That couldn't be more opposite from the truth, except for one of them. We'll get to that in a second. So first off, a Volcano. This is easy S tier. Without a certain attachment, the El Toro is still better than this, which is kind of crazy because it's uncommon and it's way cheaper to craft. So the Volcano is just always going to be worse than the El Toro, unless you slap a kinetic converter, which is a legendary attachment, by the way, making this an extremely expensive weapon. But that makes the time between shots so fast that you can take this in the same vein of the Torrente in terms of being a one magazine squad killer. It's even more crazy than that, though. You can just rapid fire shotgun shells at people. Moving on to the Bobcat. The Bobcat is very comparable to the Stitcher in terms of TTK, with this having the slight edge. It's S tier, but the cost reduced its rank a lot. When you can craft a Stitcher for next to nothing versus a Bobcat, you're just going to craft 10 Stitchers before you craft a Bobcat. I'm sorry. Even though it's a very good SMG, don't expect it to be good beyond mid-range. I think that's where people get caught up with the Bobcat. They're like, oh, it's epic, and I didn't kill anyone with it when I shot him. Well, like, were you in their face or not? You got to be up close with this. Same with the Stitcher. Guys, you're not using the SMGs right if you're not getting kills with them. Get headshots up close, and you will win fights. They're very good. Moving on to the Tempest. The Tempest is... It's S tier, of course. It's a very good weapon. It's one of my favorite weapons in the game. It has a reasonably good TTK, and it's just very steady. It's an absolute beamer. I'm putting it between these two legendaries here. Again, it's not outranking these because of nerfs to security lockers and resource constraints. Unlike the other epics, this doesn't have a cheap and viable counterpart. The Volcano has the Il Toro. The Bobcat has the Stitcher, right? Like, those are somewhat comparable counterparts. The Tempest just doesn't have that in this category. The closest thing it has is the Arpeggio, and I just don't think they're similar enough to say that it has something in its same area to be good enough to justify. So this is quite a bit better than the Arpeggio is what I'm trying to say. I think this will be one of the dominant weapons once the Venator is nerfed, but I can't place it up here because of how much it costs to craft. It's going right. Go there. There we go. All right, and the Bettina. So the Bettina during the server slam absolutely slapped. Like, it was really good at PvP. Like, you could 1v2 and maybe 1v3 a squad with this thing. It was that good. I'm not sure what they did to it between then and launch, but it's very bad now. I think maybe with the right attachments, like maybe with some legendary attachments, you could push this up to a B, but for now it's a C. I really hope they balance this, because it's sad to see an epic in the C category, and it's not even that good against Arc. Yeah, like I said, hopefully they buff this, because it's sad to see it there, and also because I have a ton of these in my stash. All right, Hullcracker. Hullcracker's a D. This is a PvP tier list. Obviously, this is a PvE weapon, so it's just not going to do anything good for us. And then moving on to the two legendary weapons that we have available right now, the Jupiter and the Equalizer. And I'm going to be candid, I don't know enough about these. I've never used them to know whether they're good and viable for PvP or not. From what I've read and I've heard, they're mainly PvE weapons, but I'm sure they can be used in PvP a little bit. I just don't imagine someone would want to craft these and then run and go PvP with them. They'd probably want to try against like one of the stronger Arc. So I'm going to plop them in C just because I don't really know. And I think they are more catered towards PvE. Yeah, that's about it, guys. I'm sure there's a couple surprises in the S list. Stitcher and Pharaoh. I'm sure a lot of people seeing the Stitcher at the front are going to question me here, but trust me, if you are up close and you get headshots with this thing, it's amazing. The low resource cost makes it just something that you can constantly go in and out with, and you will win fights with this against Venators. You will win fights against El Toros and Volcanoes and Tempests. Trust me, it is good. Trust the process with it. The cheap man's S tier loadout is Stitcher Pharaoh. Like, this is something you did early on when you started the game, probably Stitcher Pharaoh as level 1s. Do those as level 4 and tell me it's not good. Hit them with the Pharaoh shot, run in with the Stitcher. You're going to get some kills. I promise. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the tier list. Please drop a like and comment below and consider subscribing for more. I'll be dropping a lot more Arc Raiders content moving forward, guides, memes, streams, etc. Until next time, this is Russ signing off.